Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So we decided that it might be fun and interesting to do a little research on YouTube about SikhNet's and 3HO. And while these videos are playing, we're going to add a little commentary, talk about what we think about what's happening.
Yeah. The unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
Yeah. So take the kids out of the room.
Alright, so the first video, it's called Why I Became a Sikh. Assuming he's a Sikh. But he's... How could I say if he is or not? Who's to say? But this is his video about why he became one.
So it's on MrSikhNet.com.
Oh.
So that's never actually a good sign. Okay.
We just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your experiences being a Sikh.
A Sikh?
I was born a Sikh, but I didn't know it. And neither did my parents. You know, it took me a while to catch on. And, you know, now that I look back, I realize that the Guru's hand, you know, guided me
Oh, the Guru.
all the way.
The Guru.
Even in the most bizarre situations, even though I didn't know that's what
I love his like...
He's so relaxed.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What's he even leaning against? He's just working his abs.
His feet again. Until all of a sudden I remembered who I was.
Well, what helped you remember?
Yogi
It
Bhajan.
was interesting because I had begun, when I was about 18, I remember looking in the mirror in the bathroom and watching my beard grow. And
This guy had an exciting life.
Reflection in the mirror.
His beard
If
grew
I
really
cut this off,
fast.
it's just gonna go back. And I didn't know anything about being a Sikh, so I started just letting my hair grow.
Spoiler alert, he still
It wasn't
doesn't.
until I was 23, wasn't even on my radar screen. And I met Yogi Bhajan in
There it is.
spring of 1970. And it didn't register on my radar screen that he was a Sikh, just that he was a yogi.
Well,
A
It
Sikh?
wasn't
A
till
yogi?
much later on that I thought, my gosh, I live naturally, I live honestly. This is
False.
what I'm doing. I didn't know. And I used to ride the subway every day. And the subway is this, you know, big metal box that goes about 60 miles an hour underground with about 100 crazy people inside the box. And I'd ride in that metal box each day with 100 crazy people. And I'd find myself sitting there trying to, like, be cool, you know, with myself. And I'd read a book or something, you know, and I'd still get these weird thoughts that would come in my head. Something really perverted and weird. I'd think, why am I thinking that? And then I'd look up across the train and I'd be some guy sitting there, you know, and I'd think, oh, that was his thought. And I realized that I was very sensitive. I was picking up a lot of things from all the people around me and feeling their emotions and their thoughts. And I started experimenting with tying my hair up, you know, and beginning to tie a turban for the first time, and thoughts were clearer, and I wasn't picking up so much static from other people, and I felt very contained and able to focus within myself. And then I really understood through my own experience how our hairs are antennas, and the antennas pick up the electromagnetic vibrations around us, and they go right into our head. So when you tie your hair up in a knot on top of your head, have you ever looked in the back of an old AM radio? You know how the antenna wires are coiled in a coil? The reason they do that, it's a very, very long wire, but it's all coiled up. The reason they do that is something called induction. When the wires are laying next to each other in a
it's
circle,
also, yeah, this is all.
they induce an electrical current in the wire next to it, so the signal gets stronger. So I found out that by tying my own hair in a knot like that and creating a coil on top of my head.
Okay, so let's just take a second to decompress that. Because this asshole is basically saying, first of all, that he's on a subway train reading people's minds accidentally, and that his turban shielded him from the thoughts going into his mind because his hair is an antenna.
Cuckoo.
Now, there's so much wrong with that it's almost hard to even know where to begin. But like, I feel, obviously I'm not Sikh, but I feel pretty confident that the purpose of the turban is not to block people's thoughts from going into your head against your will. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
But of course, we know that Yogi Bhajan said that people's hair, that your hair was your energy antenna. You've read that straight out of their stuff.
Yeah.
And like, so of course he's promoting that kind of baloney and trying to say it's like an AM radio.
So that reasoning would think like naturally bald people are less psychic than people with more hair?
I don't know, or maybe they're less shielded. I can't tell. From what I can tell, that it's both a shield and an antenna.
Also, I want to say, like, by his tone of voice, like, you can tell that he's lying. I mean, in Kundalini Yoga, teachers talk about building and increasing your intuition. And yet people that follow this, like, will believe him. I'm like, really follow your intuition and, like, hear in his voice that he's completely full of shit.
Yeah. Everything else he says, you should just be laughing at.
We are.
Yeah, well, yeah, but everyone should. I'm like, you shouldn't hear this and be like, oh, that sounds, I see. No, come on. Yeah, why doesn't he should have just been putting tin foil on his head, apparently, right? Wear the little tin foil hat to shield himself.
It's a magical hat.
Yeah, the magical hat.
That it would produce induction from the electromagnetic field.
And this
I could
pseudoscience
actually
crap.
focus much better in terms of
Thanks for that story.
Yeah, thanks for that story indeed.
You're a
Cool
parent
story,
of two
bro.
Children.
then that vibratory frequency automatically goes to the children through her milk, through her words,
God.
through the atmosphere in the home. They may cut their hair, they may act weird, they may decide to act out or do strange things. It doesn't matter.
Like join
because
a
the
cult.
roots are firmly established. I mean, my younger son is 15, he's at school in India.
Oh,
Mary Perry Academy.
Mary
You know,
Perry.
which is hunt together and support.
God.
It is. They've got it.
My
He's in
older
the,
son
he's
is
in the
25.
child abuse camp.
He comes in and drinks a quart of Yogi
Whiskey.
tea and a big bowl of khichdi.
Oh, he comes and drinks a quart of
whatever's in the
Yogi
house,
tea.
whatever subject we've made, he just sits and eats it. He belongs to the guru. I remember last
What's a
time I was
guru?
in concert with him. He was 19, and we spent a week just doing a Shan Seva at the Golden Temple. And you know,
Anything you want to say about that?
It makes me disgusted and sad.
But why?
Because I know how fake they are and how many lies they spread and how they could take a story like that and like legitimize themselves as Sikh and still do the Kundalini yoga and white tantric yoga and all this other stupid bullshit
Right.
and mix them like.
Yeah, I mean, like he just finished talking about how he liked to wear his turban because it shielded him from reading people's minds, and then he's talking about getting having that put in, which I assume there's a symbolic meaning that I don't know.
Yeah, it's not some magical like
Right.
spell thing.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So it's interesting. It's like you said. He either knows and is deliberately misrepresenting, or he just doesn't know and it's all just magic spells to him. It's one of those two. Both of them are bad.
Yeah. Also think he doesn't wear a kirpan.
Why? Why do you say that?
I mean, I've seen him before in videos and pictures and you never see it, and most 3HO don't wear kirpan.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What's the deal there?
I'm not exactly sure.
I'm surprised they haven't come up with an explanation that it's like a magic wand or something, or like it focuses your electromagnetic energy to a point or something so you can shoot your spells more effectively.
we were teaching, 10
God.
yoga classes a week.
Oh,
Wait,
there it
wait.
is.
Council that
What?
He's saying everybody there by the end of his time there knew what a Sikh was by teaching 10 yoga classes a week.
Yeah, here let's go back and,
Like
and
Sikhs
review
don't
that. Right.
teach yoga. I mean, like we can, but it's not a thing.
Right. That's not how they would know.
Right.
Like, here let's review that snippet here.
we lived there for 15 years, and by the time I left, everybody in Columbus knew what a Sikh was. We were teaching, 10 yoga classes a week. We had an interfaith council that we'd formed there.
Wow.
We had 2 gurdwaras. I mean, it was the whole atmosphere changed.
So I assume those 2
That
gurdwaras
was
were actually probably 3HO ashrams.
That's been
I
my
could only
first
assume so, yes.
Right.
I remember Yogi Bhajan used to travel. He would come to Columbus, Ohio, and spend a few days, and we all got to sit with him and have his darshan and stay up late into the night,
Collect his
tell
tithes.
stories.
Have
be
Yogi
together.
Bhajan's
It was beautiful.
darshan.
But because he traveled so
What?
So they're saying like they would stay up late and get to be seen and see Yogi Bhajan as though he were some sort of like god or sacred thing. I mean, you have darshan with like the guru, not a person like Yogi Bhajan.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So yeah, actually that's pretty revealing because they always deny it.
right.
these are the clothes of the future.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. Well, music is by Sing Car.
Transgender?
Alright, well, so that was interesting.
What?
I mean, that was basically what. Oh, hang on, let me.
No Sikh would ever revere a person living so much like that. Like, that's the only stories he told, really, were of Yogi Bhajan.
He told stories about Yogi Bhajan. He told stories about how his magic turban protected him from the powers of other people's minds, and he talked about his kids. It's funny they can't seem to get through talking about any subject that has to do with spirituality without having to somehow tie it into. But here's what Yogi Bhajan said.
Because that's the only thing that most of them know. Well,
So that was that happened.
that was the opposite of enlightening. It was entertaining, though.
Yeah.
It's
So-
ridiculous, it's funny, it's also frustrating, but
And it's posted. It's on the SikhNet channel.
that's pretty important. So
So-
SikhNet really endorses talking about Yogi Bhajan and everything that he's done, which is so wonderful. Guru Kasalt.
Yeah, Guru Kasalt. That's what I thought. Yeah, he's the executive director and original founder of SikhNet.
Blang blang. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.